I've mentioned on several occasions that I have an Exchange account that is hosted through Rackspace, and I'm very happy with it. I'm able to get my email pretty much no matter where I'm at, connected to the internet, pulling it in through a web browser and whatnot. There are times, however, when Exchange isn't too happy, and I don't really have the right set of troubleshooting tools. I myself am not an Exchange administrator, but the guys and gals over at SolarWinds.net just live for making network tools, specifically for system administrators, and I know we have quite a few system administrators in the audience, and they just announced an Exchange Monitor tool. It's free, and you can download a copy for yourself or pass it along to your Exchange administrator if you go to www.solarwinds.net/LockerGnome, and hopefully Kat or someone else who's got voice in the chat room right now will be able to type in that URL, so you've got it there as well. So we've got Josh Stevens, who normally looks like a Simpsons character, but this is really you. It's not your caricature, right?
Yeah, this is really me. That's right.
Okay, so now you pretty much, I believe, created this company to help network administrators, right? That's pretty much what it's all about?
Yeah, I mean, SolarWinds was founded to help network engineers and system administrators by providing easy-to-use tools to help them do their everyday jobs.
Okay, so what was the motivation behind creating this Exchange Monitor? I mean, aren't there like 1,000,001 of those things out there already, or?
Well, there aren't a lot of real easy-to-use, low-cost or free tools for managing Exchange servers. And, like you said, users nowadays really like Microsoft Exchange Server. And it's one of those things where if you're the system administrator, if you lose the Exchange server, not just the geeks in your company get aggravated, but everybody gets upset, right? The CEO, the secretaries, the administrators, everybody. And so we wanted a really easy to use, very light to download application people could get for free to make it easy to keep an eye on your Exchange server and know either when you're having a problem or when circumstances might be arising that would cause a problem in the future so you could head them off.
I know that I've had issues before, and I've been public about them to the point where a few people from Rackspace reached out to me and said, "Hey, what's going on?" I didn't realize that I could have complained about it earlier. It would have been fixed earlier. I just thought it would have been fixed by the time that I would have complained about it.
That's right. That's right.
So I usually am under the assumption that it's being taken care of, and that's not always the case.
No, I mean, email servers are one of those things that, as long as things are working right, people tend to take them for granted, sort of like the post office. As long as you get your mail every day, you don't really think about how it happens. But there are a lot of things that can happen in an enterprise network that can affect the health and performance of that Exchange server. And so as an administrator, you don't necessarily want to always keep your eye on the server, and always have to monitor it in a lot of detail. But you need something that tells you in a real easy to see dashboard when you start to see problems. And for instance, if your mail queues are starting to fill up, maybe you've had an abnormal amount of spam coming in that day, you need to block something on an access list, or maybe you've had some service problems due to a recent hotfix or something like that. You need a tool that kind of lets you know where these problems are before the users start to see them and start to complain.
So then, how long was this in the works? How long has it been baking?
Well, Thwack, which is our online community, recently had its 1-year anniversary. And for the last couple of months, we were writing this free tool. We wanted to announce it along with the Thwack 1-year anniversary to sort of give back to our community, a free tool for them to kind of give something back to the community that's helped us build this strong company. And so we worked on it for a couple of months, but leveraging technology that we have in some of our other products that are fee-based, so that we can provide a real easy-to-use free tool based on best-in-class technology we tested for a couple of years.
So what's Thwack? That's your community? A lot of, I'd assume, network administrators and whatnot?
Yeah, so Thwack.com is actually our community site for network engineers and system administrators. A place they can go online and share information, share troubleshooting steps. There's user forums, there's blog information, there's a lot of interesting information on maintaining Exchange servers, troubleshooting network traffic flow problems, routing issues, things like that. And it's a place where we find out about issues people are having with the software. We can troubleshoot them, or for users to share creative ideas they might have in customizing our applications.
So do you have any recommendations for people like me who have an Exchange account with some kind of provider and are really sensitive and understand that geeks tend to have inflated egos and say,
Yeah.
hey, this tool might be able to help you figure out your problems. I mean, what if we get pushback? Oh, I don't need any help. I know what I'm doing.
Well, I think that when you're suggesting a free tool, that obviously is going to be a lot easier than when you're suggesting to spend money to buy something. But one of the ways that I found to be successful in suggesting that, even to my own internal IT staff and to other IT staffs I worked with around the world, is to suggest it as something you found to be useful yourself. So rather than say, hey, I think you should try this, say, hey, one of the things I found to be successful is I leverage these free tools from SolarWinds, like the new Exchange Monitor. Have you guys seen that? And when you do something like that, it's a little bit less confrontational, and they don't necessarily always think you're trying to tell them how to do their job. But there are a lot of good free applications out there. The Exchange Monitor is certainly one of them. And one of the things that we do at SolarWinds is we make network management software very, very easy to use and very attainable. And I think that in history, a lot of network management companies have made these things complicated, and so a lot of administrators and engineers have sort of shied away from network management products because they seem like it would take a long time to implement, and they just didn't have time to deal with it. But with best-in-class products like the ones we have here, it's really, really easy. You install the thing, you download it in a couple of minutes, you run setup.exe, and it's pretty much done, and you're up and running, instantaneously.
Now, that obviously Exchange isn't the only thing that you guys deal with on
Oh, no.
at SolarWinds on a regular basis. It just happens to be like one of those things. Now, Exchange is obviously Microsoft technology. Are all your products related to Microsoft's technology in some way, shape, or form?
No, I mean, our products range from products used for managing routers and switches, from Cisco and Foundry, Extreme, vendors like that. On the server side, both Microsoft and Windows applications and servers, as well as Unix servers. It's very broad. So really, any device connected to the network on the infrastructure side, servers, applications, databases, routers, switches, firewalls, those types of things are the things we specialize in managing.
All right. Now, is this tool then available for just one Exchange server or like a set of Exchange servers to monitor?
Chris, that's a great question. So the free tool is available to manage one Exchange server at a time, but we offer, more enterprise-style applications and even applications for the small business. So if you have a group of Exchange servers, either a server farm or even two or three, or maybe 100 in a very large organization, we have tools for doing that as well.
It took me forever to explain why someone like me, who I've got a home office here, this is where I'm recording this video out of, why I would want to get an Exchange account over, say, something like Gmail. And I always find it a struggle unless, even if it was just me, I mean, while I interoperate with my wife, who is also my business partner, I find it a struggle to try to explain to people why it's valuable to have some kind of Exchange account, even if it's hosted. I think it costs us like $10 per account, which is like nothing for what you get in
Yeah.
return.
Yeah, I mean, Exchange has come so far over the last few years. I mean, I've been managing and maintaining, Microsoft Exchange and mail servers since, wow, the early to mid 90s, back with Microsoft Mail. And so it's come a long, long way since then. But, it's one of those things that there are so many users of the application that, by leveraging technology that the other users also leverage, you share a lot of common features. And so, it'd be like trying to get by without, Word or Excel or PowerPoint nowadays. And you pretty much have to have those to do your job. And it just makes it so much easier when someone sends you a meeting invite for a calendar appointment, and you can just accept it in Outlook or Exchange as opposed to having to, find it through your Gmail account and go rework it. I think that nowadays, you're probably the same way. We all have, several email accounts, I mean, Gmail and Yahoo and everything else. But, having an Exchange account that makes it really easy to use for business purpose is a big advantage.
So then your experience with all these servers is really, I guess your mind is as much a part of the program as the code itself. I mean, based on your own experiences and knowing where the shortcomings are in all these monitoring. I mean, do you have like any specific features in the Exchange monitor that were really like just to you? Well, yeah, that needs to be there, but just wasn't created before.
Well, I mean, I think that the key is putting some of these statistics on one single page. So in the free tool Exchange Monitor, you'll see things like status of all the services that make up Microsoft Exchange Server.
Oh,
You'll also see the size and the status of all the queues, the different mail queues, like the send queue, the receive queue, the public queues, the SMTP queues, and you'll see how they grow over time. And then one of the things we did differently is we also wanted to make it sort of a single pane of glass. And so you'll also see details about the server itself that's hosting Exchange in terms of CPU and memory and disk space.
Hmm.
And so one of the things people forget to do sometimes, they tend to manage the application, but they forget to manage the server, right? So it doesn't really matter if Exchange is doing just fine. If you run out of disk space on your server, you're still down.
You know, I thought about a different, I guess, angle or approach to this. I get people who ask me all the time, young and old, they're saying, hey, Chris, you know, I'm thinking about a career in technology, possibly going into IT. I don't know where to start. And I usually tell them, well, you know, dive in and just start experimenting and looking for tools that can help really empower them. I mean, in a way, this could give them a bit more of an advantage if they've ever wanted to become an Exchange administrator. I mean, this is a good way of getting an overview without being overly geeky. And of course, you know, once you get that, you know, the higher level stuff, then you can start digging in deeper into the lower level stuff if it's something that interests you. I mean, just
Yeah.
presenting that information in such a concise fashion is certainly, I think, potentially a competitive advantage, saving time, energy, and money.
I would agree, Chris. And for anyone out there who's interested in getting into this field to be the system administrators or network engineers, you know as well as I do. If you're going to be geeky, you have to just dive in and get started, right? You have to get your hands on it and just start playing with the technology and not be afraid of it. And so tools like the free tools from SolarWinds, our tool set as well is really, really good at kind of exposing the technology in an easy to understand way and making a network administrator without a lot of skill maybe look like a more powerful administrator. And as your skills progress, you'll find new features in the tools to make you better at your job. And so, really for anyone out there who wants to get started, download the tools, set up a lab at home and play with them. And, it's not that complicated, right? I mean, someone wrote these applications and intended for them to be easy to use. It's just a matter of understanding them and calling down and trying to find out, what the problems are.
Well, years ago for Locherno, my company, we had, you know, several, I guess, employees and people who were in the system. We were considering setting up our own Exchange account, our own server, and we had someone on board who had managed one before. He said, forget it, I don't want to do it. Because tools like this didn't exist to help with the administrative tasks.
That's right. Exchange used to be a lot harder to administer than it is now. And, now it's come to the point that it's a little easier to maintain. There are some good management tools out there. And it's just attaining this critical mass in the market to where it's hard to get by without it. Of course, for a company like SolarWinds, we have the advantage of, we want to play with the technology. We want to have it in-house. So we might have several mail servers up and running just to have a chance to use them and play with them. But from a business perspective, it would be really hard to get by without Exchange in the enterprise. And I can't imagine having to run an Exchange server in the enterprise today or in any company, regardless of how small or large, without some sort of management utilities, either free software like the Exchange Monitor or a paid product like Orion. You need to have a way to manage those things if your business is going to rely on them.
So when you were a kid, is this what you wanted to be when you grew up?
Yeah, pretty much.
Really?
I've been building and hacking my way into networks for a very, very long time.
So this is very much a part of you then.
Yeah, it
Natural
absolutely is.
extension.
My network at home and my lab here is it's a lot of fun to play with, and so we do training here and things like that. It's a lot of fun.
Very cool. So are you guys hiring?
Absolutely, absolutely. You can go to solarwinds.com and there's an employment section in there, and just submit a CV, and we're ready to go.
Very cool.